be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
Recently leaked footage from Gervonta Tank Davis's private training camp has sent shockwaves through the boxing community. The clips capture Davis trading heavy punches with opponents far above his weight class, full-sized heavyweights who tower over him inside the ring. The footage shows Tank standing his ground, refusing to back down, and matching their power shot for shot. It's a rare look behind the curtain, revealing how intensely Davis is preparing ahead of his blockbuster showdown with Jake Paul.
Stop closing up and let it go. Keep turning, keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
The footage paints a vivid picture of Davis's determination. He's seen testing his power against giants, landing clean combinations on men who outweigh him by dozens of pounds. Each punch echoes through the gym, a statement that Tank isn't intimidated by size or muscle. In his camp, Davis has pushed boundaries that few in his position would dare to. He's sparring regularly with natural heavyweights, some known for knockout power, just to refine his defensive reactions and precision. Observers describe his training as both fearless and methodical, a reflection of a man who refuses to limit himself to expectations. Every session is about sharpening his speed, timing, and ring IQ against power that could end most fights instantly. Jake Paul, meanwhile, continues to play the role he knows best, the calculated disruptor. Every fight he picks is strategic, chosen not only for spectacle but for advantage. Paul's matchups are never random, they are chess moves disguised as brawls. Whether it's facing smaller men, aging champions, or fighters from lighter divisions, he thrives in that sweet spot between risk and reward. It's this balance that keeps fans both invested and uncertain. Jake understands that tension sells, that every ounce of danger must be measured, every fight crafted like a viral event waiting to explode. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul has mastered the art of controlling chaos, and that's what makes his fights impossible to ignore.
Guys, what's the key to having a fight that's exciting? Is when you look at one corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat, and you look at the other corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat, and they're about to fight. It just feels like Jake Paul is always picking fights where he has a massive advantage. Like now he's fighting Gervonta Davis, who's, I don't know how much smaller, but probably close to like 80 pounds smaller, which is a crazy, significant weight advantage for Jake Paul. Now, you have to also look at the other way. Gervonta has a crazy advantage over Jake Paul. He has incredible amount of skill, more years of training, and for sure, pound for pound, he would mop the floor with Jake Paul. But this is what makes the fight exciting. And two guys fighting, and we don't know who's gonna win. Guys, what's the key to having a fight that's exciting? Is when you look at one corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat, and you look at the other corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat, and they're about to fight. Somebody's about to say go, and these guys gotta go at it. So that's what makes a fight exciting. So this is kind of that, because if they were the same weight, none of us would tune in. We'd be like, this is just a punching bag for Gervonta. It doesn't make the fight exciting, but because Jake Paul is so big, so much bigger, it makes the fight.
Promoter Hearn, however, doesn't see this as an evolution, he sees it as erosion. In his eyes, the upcoming fight between Davis and Paul blurs a dangerous line between sport and spectacle. Hearn argues that boxing was built on competition, legacy, and respect, not manufactured showdowns for clicks and cash. The size difference alone, he says, reveals the imbalance. Jake Paul's natural frame belongs in a heavier class, while Gervonta built his career through speed, movement, and precision in the lighter divisions. To Hearn, this matchup looks less like a fair contest and more like a money-making performance disguised as sport. He warns that the more boxing leans into entertainment, the further it drifts from the values that made it respected: discipline, honor, and mastery forged over generations.
That there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, you know, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. Now, whether you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime, then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now. After that, I mean, like, you know, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is, and see how he gets on. I mean, if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, we can't exactly make the Anthony Joshua.
Former champion Paulie Malignaggi takes a more pragmatic stance. He reminds fans that this event shouldn't be viewed through the same lens as a championship fight. It's not about belts, rankings, or legacies, it's about business. He points out that this fight is structured like an exhibition, designed to entertain rather than define careers. There are no official stakes, no world titles, and likely no lasting consequences. To Paulie, this is a reflection of modern boxing's dual identity, part sport, part show. While purists may see it as a betrayal of tradition, he argues that the industry itself has evolved this way. In today's era, personality, controversy, and marketability often matter more than the belts themselves.
Guy, when I watch it, I don't. I just think he's fighting opponents that, you know, are not with it anymore or are too small for him and whatnot. But in this situation, it is an exhibition. So you've got to keep in mind that this could be set up. This could be like WWE. This one could be set up. I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but this is not a sanctioned fight, champ. This is an exhibition. And an exhibition means you cannot bet on it. You cannot bet on the result. If you remember, this is why they changed the Mike Tyson fight from an exhibition to a real fight, because they realized, you know, an exhibition, you could stage it and they couldn't take bets on it. So this is an exhibition. There is no betting on it. So that means, I'm not saying people are going crazy with the opinions, who's going to win, who's going to lose. You don't know what size gloves they're going to wear. You don't even know if they're going to stage the whole thing, because this is something that, as an exhibition, it's not illegal to stage it. So I think this could be all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff. This is a bit of a circus, in my opinion.
Who would you think should win that fight? Would you think that Davis should be able to get in there, even though the size did 100 pounds? Do you think he should be able to do it?
If they don't stage it and don't kind of set up a sort of a mild sparring session, I'd say Davis has a chance. Depends on the size of the gloves. Because here's the thing, Jake is probably 100 pounds bigger than the guy. You know, that's a lot of weight, Carl. You know, you've been in a boxing ring, that still counts. And if you make the gloves small, Gervonta could technically hurt Jake even if he hits him. But the problem is, if the gloves are small, Jake could also hurt Gervonta, because Gervonta's so small. Gervonta's so much smaller than him. You know, so you make the gloves big, and then really, who's got an advantage? I don't know. You know, technically Gervonta's a lot better boxer, but he's so much smaller. I've stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy. It's like I said, it's a bit of a circus freak show, and that's why I don't put it out of the question that this exhibition could be a bit staged in the ring.
Social commentator Wade Plemons of The Wade Concept dives deeper into Jake Paul's psychological warfare. He describes Paul as a manipulator of both narrative and ego, someone who knows exactly how to draw his opponents into his arena, not just physically, but mentally. Jake understands attention better than anyone. He provokes, taunts, and monetizes every emotional reaction. According to Plemons, Jake lured Gervonta Davis into this fight not only through challenge but through opportunity, offering fame, wealth, and global spotlight too tempting to refuse. It's part of his genius, turning conflict into currency. Each of Jake's fights becomes more than sport, it's an event engineered for maximum impact, where victory isn't just about landing punches, but about dominating headlines and social feeds worldwide.
Also, and again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him. But this one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. Doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, this is not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create as if this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out and flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, but the people that are going to watch this, the casual viewers that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept that. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience that he belongs in the ring with bigger names. If he's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might actually do it.
Inside Gervonta Davis's camp, though, the mood couldn't be more different. His focus is absolute. Trainers and insiders describe a man shutting out all noise, channeling tunnel vision into preparation. Davis's sparring sessions have become legendary for their brutality, with partners far bigger than him struggling to keep up. Those who've seen him train say he's calm, calculated, and deadly efficient, a fighter whose eyes never leave the target. For Tank, this fight is not about fame or media attention. It's about respect for boxing, for legacy, and for himself. He sees this bout as a chance to remind the world that pure skill, discipline, and timing still reign supreme over showmanship and hype.
In the press conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, Mike Tyson, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not gonna have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belts and all of that.
As the fight approaches, the boxing world remains split. Traditionalists call it a circus act that mocks the sport's legacy, while modern fans see it as a necessary evolution, a bridge between boxing and entertainment. Supporters of Davis believe he will expose Jake Paul's limits, proving that experience and technique will always overcome celebrity bravado. Paul's followers, however, argue that he's revitalizing boxing by bringing in millions of new eyes, a new generation of fans who might never have watched a fight otherwise. The debate is fierce, representing a clash of eras, the purists versus the entertainers. Regardless of the outcome, Jake Paul has already achieved what he does best. He's made the entire world talk.
And number 3, the retirement.
I mean, the backlash is just what people do nowadays. That's just, you give somebody a keyboard, you give them a phone, and they able to hide their face, yeah, they gonna have a field day. The backlash I get, I understand. Would you say number 2, not fight Shakur?
Yeah, he's saying he'll never fight Shakur. That he ain't gonna do him no favors. That he ain't gonna help him make no money because Shakur broke or something like that. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't get all that. That's, you know what I mean. That's against the game. Like, you know what I mean. You at least owe that fight for the game. You know what I mean. You owe the rematch to Lamont for the game, but you owe Shakur for the game just because of the 2 style matchups. You know what I mean. But if he feel like he don't gotta fight him, guess what? We can't sit here and just go crazy about it. But it is kind of crazy. It is kind of corny. You know what I'm saying? If he not gonna fight Shakur, and if he's standing on it like, I'm not ever gonna fight you, I'm not doing you no favors. And all right. But then again, you know what? I don't know what them guys got going on. I don't know what they've been through personally. You know what I'm saying? But would I love to see that fight? Hell yeah, I would love to see that fight. And then number 3, you said what? You said
retirement.
The retirement. Oh, boxing. Boxing, they're around. They're around. It's always gloves around. It's on you. It's on you. I'm chilling. You all right? Yeah, get with me. I know. How you feel? Dark skin boy. That's my man. The retirement is like he done a lot in his career, right? Not everything, but he done a lot. What people don't understand is his business is a lot. This whole experience is a lot. The shit these fighters go through is hard to explain. It's hard to explain because people, they can't see it, so they can't understand it. But it's stressful to the fighters because they coming from just getting ready to fight in the amateurs, being prepared, going out there, win, get it done, celebrate, all right, we back to the next camp. To now, marketing. You're talking about marketing. You're talking about lawyers. You're talking about all this shit that you just never imagined. You're like, why do I have to deal with it?
The implications of this fight stretch far beyond the ring. If Jake Paul wins, it could mark a turning point, the dawn of a new era where influence outweighs ranking, and spectacle defines success. More influencer versus boxer matchups would likely follow, drawing massive numbers but pushing traditional champions into the shadows. However, if Gervonta Davis wins decisively, it could restore faith in classic boxing, a reminder that mastery, not marketing, is what truly counts inside the ropes. This clash isn't just about 2 men, it's about 2 ideologies, skill versus fame, honor versus entertainment. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul's chaos has forced boxing to confront its future. Every swing, every stare down, every unpredictable moment fuels a question the entire world is waiting to see answered: what will boxing become next?
The purists hate it, the algorithm loves it, and both will watch. It's not just who wins, it's what wins. Will the entertainment value or the ring IQ come out on top? Because if Tank dominates, the meme dies. Jake Paul survives or hits it big, we see new rules are going to be written in real time. Me, you, maybe everyone at some point has been that bigger guy, thinking that I'll just bully him. Jab, slip, liver shot, sent me down real nicely. Size helped until it didn't. All I'm saying is, let's not dismiss something because it looks weird. Many fights get decided by the details. Feet before fists, timing before muscle, discipline before clout. Look, Tank wins if he stays Tank. He's built on patience, traps, explosive counters. That's hell for a tall guy who gets eager. Jake's long jab is the gate, but Tank's head movement is the key. Once he times it, the door's getting open and the furniture is going to get rearranged. Think locksmith versus padlock. Big padlock looks scary until the right tool clicks once. Jake throws that overhand like he's bowling with the shoulder. Effective, but you don't see it.
At its core, the matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul redefines what people consider real boxing. It skips the traditional path of mandatory defenses, sanctioned rankings, and earned title shots. Instead, it occupies a strange middle ground, part competition, part spectacle. Critics fear that these kinds of fights weaken boxing's integrity, turning it into performance art rather than professional sport. Yet others insist this is exactly what keeps boxing relevant in the digital era. What makes this fight especially unique is that both men are still in their prime, not retired legends, not fading names, active fighters shaping their legacies. That blurs the line completely between a show and a serious contest. Davis embodies the old-school warrior, disciplined, focused, and forged in the fundamentals. Jake Paul symbolizes the modern disruptor, strategic, fearless, and media-savvy. The outcome could define which version of boxing will lead the next generation.
Like this, with fighters pretty much in their prime. But other than the size mismatch, most people are wondering why has Tank taken this fight? And those were the first questions targeted to Tank in this presser. Because usually these sorts of bouts are relegated to the latter part of your career. And for most Gervonta Davis supporters, they thought they would get the big fights next, the Shakurs. They didn't think he would be fighting Jake Paul. Although Tank tried to push it off as fans should just be happy watching the sport and hey, haters will be haters, I think that's quite unfair to the people who have been loyal supporters of him and honestly have paid his bills. He tried to compare the level of criticism he gets to the likes of Mayweather.
And that's where things stand as fight night draws near. The world waits, critics sharpening their takes, fans choosing sides, and both fighters preparing to prove their truth inside the ring. For one, it's about legacy. For the other, it's about revolution. One seeks to defend the sport's soul, the other to reshape it entirely. No matter how it ends, one thing is certain, the world will be watching.